Hey, this is a podcast. No, wait, it's a comedy podcast. Well, we tried to make it a comedy podcast, and it's not meant to offend anyone. So don't get offended, okay? And wait, there's something else. Oh, yeah, yeah. Listener discretion is advised.
Audiomatic presents Our Last Week.
Hi Kunal,
Hi, what's up, pal?
here we are.
Yeah, we're back.
We are in a place together
Yeah.
again, recording our last week.
You say it like it's like a new thing every time,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
actually, I mean, every time people are listening to us, we are recording.
This is true. But sometimes I'm actually in a closet. I don't know if I've told you
Yeah,
this.
that's true.
I
You're
mean,
in another city, country.
actually, I'm just in my parents' house in a closet. I mean,
Okay.
it's just literally that. That's not a metaphor for something. It's not like,
You're out of the closet. Or something.
yeah. I mean, it does fit into the stereotype.
Hmm.
I'm a 45-year-old man in a closet in my parents' house. I'm Bengali. Like, it fits into all those stereotypes.
But it's safe to say that you are a closet podcaster.
I'm in the closet and I come out. It's like, what is your sexual preference? I'm a podcaster.
Yeah,
That is a worrying sexual preference.
it is. It is.
It's concerning, but I record from inside a wardrobe. I have an old wardrobe that my grandmother used to have, and it's very large. There's not much in it except my microphone, and I could get in and shut the door. It's a bit creepy. It's only creepy if, let's say, somebody opens the wardrobe. You'd see a large fat man sitting there with headphones.
So it's like what people would today call a walk-in wardrobe.
It's a walk-in.
So it
It's a
was like a
walk-in.
large sort of space.
Yeah. Although I have to say, I would assume when my grandma bought it in 1897, it was a small wardrobe for its time.
For its time.
Because they used to have 30, 40 children and all their clothes would be there. It's a tiny wardrobe for the era.
For their time.
For the era. For
Yeah.
now, it's enough to be a podcast studio.
Right.
That's the difference that time has.
Time has-
Where do you record usually?
I
mean, now we are sitting across from each
now
other.
now we're in a studio, but generally I sit on on a small stool. It's one of those again. It's one of those ancient. There used to be these things called dressing tables, where which used to be a little low.
Mothers
And
used to-
mothers used to
yeah,
have it,
yeah.
and it has a mirror in front of
Yeah.
it, and it's pretty low, and then it's got a special stool,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
also pretty low,
Yeah.
and it's just all sorts of inconvenient because
yeah.
because then you're dressed up to go out somewhere in a sari and then you have to almost squat on this really small stool,
Yeah. And then do the
and then do
makeup.
the makeup.
Yeah.
So all that's left of that whole unit is
Yeah.
just the stool now.
The mirror's
The
gone.
mirror's gone, the table is gone,
Yeah.
everything's
The,
gone.
the mum is in another
The,
house.
the mum is gone. So
Yeah.
now it's just that stool that's left. So I sit on that stool.
No
It's-
makeup is there.
No, there's nothing. So instead of doing any makeup or anything
Yeah.
like that, I sit on that small stool
Yeah.
and I place the mic on the corner of the bed.
Yeah.
So and then I kind of put a few cushions around the mic so that
Yeah.
it's just like a little soft.
Yeah.
And then I sit on this little small makeup stool.
Yeah.
And then I talk to you.
I'm now lost in that image. Like now I won't be able to focus ever when we are not together because I'll just think of you wallowing in a set of pillows.
Right.
Doing this podcast while doing makeup.
Yeah.
That's not even yours.
Yeah, it's not mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
I'm a bit worried of which one of us should come out of the closet. It's concerning. Kunal, I have been in a dilemma actually. I found out that my neighbor in Calcutta, I've lived in the same home in Calcutta for 70 years, meaning I'm not 70 years old, but
Your family.
yeah, I've lived in the same house for 70 years. And in all these years and I'm 45, so I've lived in that house for 45 years. I didn't really know who my neighbors were. So I had one neighbor who was like an old person who walks up and down in an old house. And it's rumored that he has 3 sisters and it's like an old ghost house. But I've only seen him. I've never seen the 3 sisters. And he walks up and down, sometimes drinking what I think is coconut water, but my cook says is gin.
Hmm.
And he's just there alone. Sometimes a very posh accent, he says, "Hello, good afternoon."
Hmm.
And he's just, I've seen him just get older and older, and now he has a walking stick. I don't know who he is.
Hmm.
And then he last week, 2 weeks ago, he died.
Okay.
And someone said, "Did you know you live next to the famous painter, Avik Bhattacharya, who was very famous, very well? I knew who he was, I knew his art." And I was like, that guy was the guy in the next house used to walk up and down with the three ghost sisters. He's like, yeah. And so I wonder, like, I've been thinking, do we really know who our neighbors are? I mean, then I took the trouble to find out who lives in the house across from us. And it turns out the guy is a skin specialist. And immediately I had some rashes in my right hand. And I thought I would go over. And he was basically like, why haven't you come to me earlier? It's like God. Like he was like, I know you're my neighbor. I've seen those rashes on your hand.
Right.
What took you so long? And I was like, I didn't know you were my neighbor. I didn't know.
And it's sad also because your whole life could have been different if you had this information earlier.
Yeah.
Like you could have been you could have had glowing skin.
Yeah.
And just by not knowing your neighbor,
He was just
like,
a guy who
you know,
lives in a house who got into a
yeah.
car. I was like, what is he doing?
you could have been a different person.
I could have had better skin.
Better skin. I mean, you would have known better people.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, Avik Bhattacharya was a very famous painter. I could have had two paintings if all I said in those hellos was, "Sir, I'm a big
huge fan.
Huge fan.
Arey, you must come over. I have
My new work. Check out my new work.
Take this actually.
Yeah.
Take it with you.
I could have been rich with good skin.
Exactly.
Just two bits of information I did not have. Which leads me to ask you, you currently live in South Bombay.
Yes.
Do you know who your neighbors are? Like not specifically by name, but by profession?
Well, I know
or-
them. It's a small, tiny little building. So we don't know. I mean, there are lawyers, there are chartered accountants, there are diamond merchants. But in my when I was growing up in my earlier
Yeah.
family home, we had a world famous homeopath.
Look at that.
Yeah, he probably the most famous homeopath in the country. And a world famous homeopath. So we used to go to him for like to take those sweet pills.
Yeah.
And he would treat us. And
Proximity was a big factor. Like there's a
Huge.
homeopath next to you.
yeah, why wouldn't you go? Why would you go anywhere else?
So,
I mean, he's a
but even
homeopath.
if you didn't believe in homeopathy, because there's a homeopath,
yeah,
you would
up and
go.
coming.
Up and coming then.
Yeah.
You'd go because of access.
Of course, he's right there. As in, like, why would you not go?
Yeah.
So, but then even the other things, because we had a diamond merchant across
Yeah.
us. So if there was any, I mean, not that we had much money to buy diamonds, but if ever there was any need to get anything,
Diamond would be the first thing.
yeah,
Because he's right there.
right across. In my second, once I got married and we moved into our first home together, me and my wife, we lived under the Meli Mehta Foundation.
Okay.
And the Meli Mehta Foundation is Zubin Mehta's mother is Meli Mehta.
Okay.
So they would have young children playing the violin above us.
Wow.
I mean, not wow, because it's
annoying.
It's, so
I didn't hear that children part. Now that ruins it.
that kind
Because
of
these are
spoils it.
bad violinists.
Yeah, and I think that probably is the worst instrument to hear
Badly.
someone learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, more so
Nothing
than the
worse.
drums also, I think, because
Yeah.
it's just this screeching cat-like sound.
Yeah.
So there was that, and they would play the drums and the piano, and they'd be like. But then, of course, my children went up to try and learn how to sing.
It's right there.
It's like why would you go anywhere else? It's
Yeah.
just I mean the singing,
Yeah.
So just go up and just sing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's anything worse. And growing up in Calcutta, I heard a lot of this because early morning, wafts of people attempting to sing Tagore would come through the window.
Right.
Always. I didn't live in an apartment building, but if I did, it'd be even more prominent.
Right,
Very
right.
early in the morning, you'd be, "Shamaru," and it's horrendous.
Yeah.
It's because there's nothing worse than the sound of bad music.
Hmm.
No one made that film.
Yeah.
People did Sound of Music.
Yeah.
No one did
Nonsense.
Sound of Shit Music.
Sound of horrible music.
You know? Because I think that is really what led me to leave the house to try and do
At a young
theatre.
age.
Because I was like, I need to be out of this noise.
a lot of the decisions you take in life and the way your life shapes up or your personality even is shaped by your like or dislike or regard or disregard for your neighbors.
Yeah.
Like it really forms you.
Yeah.
So I
yeah.
mean, parenting is one thing.
Yeah.
But then don't neighbors also play a role?
Huge.
In, yeah.
Like, for example, I was en route to being a criminal. I don't know if I told you this.
No, I think you're still on your way.
I think you have great faith in my criminal abilities.
You will get there.
I think eventually I get. I was neighbors, so one house over, I was neighbors with an escaped brother of the Nepalese royal family who
Wow.
had escaped from Nepal with a vast amount of money. And they just set up shop in Calcutta. And they were doing two things. One, spending cash, just cash, because they couldn't have a bank account.
Right.
But they were loaded. And two, hiding from Nepalese people who were trying to kill them.
Nice.
And the son of that house was my friend and my school friend, who not only like continued to fail in all subjects because he was just hoping to be the Prince of Nepal. He was just a cash-rich son of the Prince of Nepal, but also had a cruel, torturous streak in him. So he'd like us to drive around the neighborhood abusing people, which is not a smart tactic because as kids you drive around and say, auntie, auntie, all of that people do, like when we were kids. Be like, hey, bastard, and you just drive past him. Which is okay to do on an open road. It's quite dumb to do it in your own neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because people know you.
And the next evening you're going to be there only. You're not going to go.
Find you. They'll know you're.
किधर रहता है तू? Oh, मैं इधर ही.
यही मेरा घर है.
यही मेरा घर.
Yeah. Oh. And then just come and thrash you. So there's not very many places you could like take that Maruti and go hide.
Even I had a cruel sort of neighbor growing up, a young kid who used to feed. He had piranhas.
Okay.
So I don't know how he got his hands on some piranhas, but he had a fish tank with a few piranhas, and he would feed the piranhas live goldfish.
Okay. And have you guys
watch it? Yeah.
Like for fun.
Yeah. So he'd
come
go
to my house.
Come. We'll feed the piranhas some goldfish. So he would go and buy these pretty little goldfish, and then we just watch them be eaten by piranhas.
And I don't know what it was about the cruelty of the young, but when we went up, the evening would end. So first there'd be some dog torture, and then people would say, "This is wrong. Leave the dog alone." And then because he was a rich, spoiled kid. He had that, that Game of Thrones character who killed people, Joffrey.
Yeah.
He was a bit like Joffrey. So after a while, he got bored. So then one of us would get beaten up because of boredom. And I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't me. But some days I just accept my fate. And be like, I guess we're damn bored. We have nothing to say to each other. We'll have to hit someone. I guess it's me. So the others would just thrash me and I'd go home thrash. Now it wasn't, people say, oh, did you have a childhood where people bashed you up because there was vendetta? It wasn't.
No.
Often people get thrashed. This
Out
is what
of
people
boredom.
don't realize among groups of young boys.
Yeah.
You get totally beaten up.
Just for amusement.
Because what do we do now? There's no Netflix. I think one of the great things that your kids' generation and older have the benefit of is that you just put them on Netflix, you give them a show or YouTube, and they're just like for 4 hours watching anime.
Yeah, but I think there is a difference to watching Joffrey and living with Joffrey. You know what I'm saying? So I think the life lesson you learn with a guy who has a snake in his house and he's just bought a small mouse from
thrown
somewhere
it on you.
And he's thrown it on you and he's saying, I'll take it out of the cage. I'll take it out of the cage. And you're like, no, don't. And he's like, no, I'm going to take it. I'm saying, so now when you're living with Joffrey.
You have willingly every 4 in the evening gone to his house. This is your only friend.
Yeah.
Who's throwing a live snake on you.
Yeah.
This is
and
your
he had
social
this
life.
certain thing for these weird animals, and he lived in a normal apartment, so that suddenly there'd be a porcupine or there'd be a snake, there'd be a piranha.
Just a weird guy.
Yeah, hamster. I mean, so it would just be a weird thing. And, and that's where you learn the person you don't want to be. I'm saying that because when you're watching Joffrey on screen, there's only that much learning that's possible.
You're like, I'm just watching a TV show. There's no one really like that.
Yeah.
But this guy's your only friend after school.
Well, I don't know about that, but yeah, he was one of them.
My case, because he was my neighbor. It was the closest house to go to.
Yeah.
But it's really, we didn't have Netflix or Amazon. So you had to occupy yourself with torture, life. Kunal. I want to spend a little time talking about restaurants.
Okay.
Like I went to a place with my parents, and it was on Park Street. And upstairs, the people dining were older, 50s, 60s. Kids probably live somewhere in Delhi or Bombay. They've come down for the weekend. Families having a little thing. Young lovers, after office people, just having a beer, little chit chatty sort of environment. And suddenly the song that came on is "You're gonna touch my penis." When are you gonna touch my penis? and it was loud. I mean, there was no other thing going on.
Right.
And it could be that the patrons were not paying any attention to the music.
Right.
But then the DJ made no effort to listen to the song and say, maybe is this a concern here? Right? Because then it carried on to be like, I'm going to come touch your ass. And it was a rap song. So there was no underlying melody that would hide the lyrics.
Yeah.
It was dang, 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 touch your penis. Dang, dang, dang. Then it's like in the music. Here's just a man talk. Imagine if I went up to DJ booth while a bunch of Bhadralok Bengali people are dining and I just suddenly say, penis.
Yeah.
Penis. I want to touch it. I want to touch it. That's all you heard while you've just, ordered a shashlik
Yeah.
and a kingfisher. All you're hearing is smack that ass.
Yeah.
Smack it.
Yeah.
Smack it. This is all you hear.
Yeah.
It's not what you want on a Wednesday at 7:30.
No,
In
no.
the
No,
evening
this
in
is
a
not.
restaurant.
And the thing is that some of these songs were big taboo for us, like
Yeah.
back in the day, when that song "Let's Talk About Sex, Baby,"
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about you. It was big, like saying "Let's talk about sex, baby." So you remember
It's very
it was
progressive.
Yeah, and it was like, wow, like look, they're talking about sex. They're using the word sex
It's
in a
whoa.
song. Whoa,
Yeah,
man, this is
yeah.
and parents would also get a little
In
uncomfortable.
Indian movies, they had the word sexy, they replaced that. Because,
Sexy, sexy, sexy.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they had to replace those words because
Yeah.
it was too risque.
Yeah. But then you also later on you also had songs like I want to fuck you in the ass. That was a song that I want to fuck you in the
Okay.
ass. Dun, 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 dun,
Okay.
dun, dun. It was like a very popular song.
Okay. But is it played at family eateries?
Family, mostly, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Like in India, you could hear it at a McDonald's. I mean, it's like
Correct.
that kind of.
You want fries? You want Ajab, Sailesh, what do you want? He said, no, I'll have that makalu tiki. I will fuck you in the ass. It's going on in the
background.
What will you have?
Yeah.
They're not very concerned.
I have nothing against this music. I mean, this music should exist.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a right time and place for everything. And I guess you just need to be able to be sensitive to the audience.
Yeah.
I guess because at some level you are catering to an audience. You
Do
need
you
sense.
do you think it would work if the owner of the restaurant sat down with a hip hop DJ and told him, "You play for me what you will play tonight"? So it was just two men in a small room.
Going through the playlist.
And one guy just keeps playing, "I'm going to smack your ass." And the other guy didn't completely comprehend. But he had to censor. You know how
Yeah.
terrible ads go through censors? you
Right,
know?
right.
So he's like, this is fine.
This is okay.
So you just have to get an approval.
Yeah.
No, penis, sir. Please, sir. Everyone says penis now. Let me play this song, No, this is too much. So it'll be a little chit chat.
Yeah.
Do you think that model would work where
It's too time consuming. That's
Yeah,
why I'm saying
someone
that
at
people don't get
PVR.
it. They just hire people and then just play
Bajao
something.
kuch, bajao.
Bajao.
But kuch. But do you think one parent or something, at some point there'll be a trigger that'll go off, right? Like, what are you playing? And it'll get violent.
Yeah.
It could go there.
Yeah.
I don't know if in India there's a age appropriate music background thing. I mean, is there? I haven't been to too many children's parties, but is there anything that's played at kids' parties?
The thing is that now a lot of the popular songs, they just throw in some bad words in the middle of the song. Like it's a very
Okay.
like Little Dicky has a song
Okay.
which is about saving the planet or something like that. And it's animated and it looks like a children's video.
Okay.
But for no reason, he starts abusing in the middle of the song. And he's saying, he just says something about fuck this or that ass. I don't know, something, but it's about saving the planet, I'm saying like now in the middle of We Are the World, you know what I'm saying, which is supposed to be accessible to everyone.
You want to grab my balls?
Yeah, I'm saying that why do
There's
that
no
in this
need.
song? You know, there's no
And
need
that's
for
much
that.
harder because you're not expecting it.
Yeah,
It's a planet song,
yeah.
Suddenly in the middle of that shark, what is that baby shark song? Na 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 baby shark or something. There's a kid's song that's very popular
Right.
called Baby Shark.
Okay,
I think.
right.
I don't know why I know this. But suddenly in the middle of that song, if I'm just sort of like, I'm gonna finger you,
Yeah.
like, it would just be wrong.
Yeah,
Be
it's
like, are you talking about the shark? Are you talking about me? What are you talking about?
it's
So
a little weird. Once I was shooting a film in Kanpur. Remember my Kanpur
yes,
days?
of course, a great film. Yeah.
And no, not really. And we went to a nightclub one night,
Okay.
and I think it was called Nikke Shots.
Okay. Great.
So I don't know whether they were talking about shots, which is like a shot of a drink, or shorts, which is like clothing.
Yeah.
Nikke means little, or I guess something.
Yeah,
little,
Nikkei is also the name of the Japanese stock exchange.
Yeah, Nikke. Yeah,
Nikkei average is
correct.
the Japanese. So maybe they were talking about
Shorting the Nikkei. It could well be.
I'm taking a bet against the Japanese yen.
Right.
Yeah.
But this was, so I think this was the Punjabi version of that. So it was Nikke Shots.
Okay.
And it was a nice
Small shots of
shots,
alcohol.
Nikke Shots. And it was around, we had wrapped up shoot, and I think it was around 11:30, 12 at night. And it was quite crowded. And I mean, my experience was not that there was some obscene music playing. It was very loud, and it was inappropriate music for little children. But I assume that it's a nightclub, right? So there won't be little children here.
What are small kids
But
doing
it
here?
was around 11:30, 12 at night, and there were at least 15 small children, like I'd say around 5 to 6 years old. And their parents were drinking and dancing and all of that. But I guess they just didn't have anywhere to leave them.
They brought these
So they
children
brought
to
these
a nightclub.
children to the nightclub, and there was dancing going on, and there were shots and whatever, all that was happening. I mean, whatever was happening. But there was no filter to who they allowed in.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, above 21. This was so this was below 7, like so I guess once you're over 12 to 18 was where there might have been a problem, like this is not the right. But if you're younger than that, like if you're a baby, I think there was one little baby
Infant.
also. There was an
There was an
infant also.
infant.
Like there was a babe in arms kind of thing.
Yeah.
And there were children running around. So like
Smoke this weed.
so there was crying happening, and there were lots of children who were just enjoying it and like sipping on some mocktails or whatever it is, and eating some fries with cheese and all that stuff. And it was a nightclub.
It's a nightclub.
So so there was no filter to this space. So it was a very freakish. And then because there was no space to sit, and we were a film crew and all of that, they kind of set up a table on the dance floor. So he said, "No, table laate hain," and all that stuff. Then they got the table and they put it. So and the lights were on us. Okay. And there were people dancing around our table. And there were like men and women, and people wanted to take some photos and all
Pointing
out and all that. And we were almost on the dance floor with these disco lights going on, and these little children. So I didn't even know like whether these photos would end up looking appropriate or not, because it was so weird, the whole setup. So and the music was playing. It was like
This
blaring.
would be a photo that would be beyond creepy. It would be one of those, what is going on here?
Yeah, what is this
Because
place?
It's a table.
Yeah.
There's a DJ mixing. There are about 15 children pointing at it. ये वो है क्या?
ये वो नहीं, और ये नहीं है
तुम
वो.
नाचो.
Yeah.
नाचो तुम. My other sort of not to sound too old or whatever, my other restaurant sort of pet peeve is around live music. I don't want to sound like an old person here. I like any sort of live music, unless you're in any way harming a patron. So loud to give someone a heart attack. That's a different problem. That's just loud. But what happens is now most diners don't listen to the musician. And the musician always starts with some like, Elton John or something light like that. Then at some point he's belting out Allah ke bande hum hai, Allah ke bande. But the reason he's singing that song is that's the highest level he can go without shouting. Because what happens is, and I'm sure you have a similar experience, but the other patrons They start talking, and there's a that hum goes louder and louder. So he's, it's no sacrifice. He's trying to keep it at that level. Then the other hum, the crowd is, I told him his brother, and that becomes proper. It's a restaurant. It gets proper. And he's like, then the singer is like, fuck it, I've been hired from 9 to 10 to sing. You guys are going to go there? He can't individually because it's a group hum. Yeah, it happens in bad comedy shows also. The crowd didn't give a fuck and starts talking. And suddenly this guy going, next song is for all the lovers out there. Allah! So then suddenly everyone shuts the fuck up.
Yeah.
Right? And then but that Allah Ke Bande song is a cry for help.
It is.
What do you think he's actually saying there?
But I think that whether it's the DJ or whether it's this guy, at some level it is a cry for attention only. So the DJ, because he's like, oh fuck, this house music is just going boom, 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 boom. Everyone's talking, man. No one's listening to the music. But now if I start putting in the words penis and ass and touch my balls and all of that, suddenly people will listen.
Yeah,
I mean,
they'll listen.
They might like it, they might hate it, but they'll listen. Yeah, what is this? So I think that in both cases, whether the guy is belting out Allah Ke Bande or he's, or the DJ is playing something which is highly inappropriate for the space, it's a cry for help. It's a plea to be heard, ultimately.
I mean, in this restaurant, the owner went up to the guy and told him, Thoda aste.
Thoda aste, bhai.
Because it was a small restaurant.
Yeah.
So suddenly in a small restaurant, I mean, even like a mild song, like I don't know, that famous, say, Lucky Ali song, what is that song? The famous, I keep forgetting.
Ooh, it's all a lot of this. Yeah, right.
Yeah, something ki kasam.
Correct.
No. It's quite a mild song, right? But like this guy, at one point when the crowd got really loud, he just went, "Oh, Sanam!" Just sort of saying, "Shut the fuck up!"
Yeah. Sanam.
Do you remember there used to be a restaurant called Goa Portuguesa?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know if it's still around.
It's still around, yeah.
Now, the thing about that one is that you were always on your toes because it was a minstrel, a walking musician.
Right.
And the thing is, the reason you were on your toes is that he could come and harass your table.
Yeah.
So you couldn't really focus. Like, if you've got a guy singing or a DJ, your evening is ruined already.
Yeah.
Because he's already at that doof, 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 doof.
Yeah.
Here, it's sort of like, no, Maria, something. But he's doing it table to table.
Yeah.
So you're just waiting to be picked on.
Yeah.
It's like an offsite where they're like, Kunal, tell us your experiences.
Yeah.
But you can never be...
I'll tell you the two pressures that come with that. Okay. One is the pressure to appreciate the guy who's singing.
Yeah.
Okay, which is like, you have to nod and smile, or you might have to sing along, or you have to, you have to
Maya.
But the bigger pressure for me is when the guy says, "Sir, please pick a song."
Oh shit!
So
he's come to your table, so he's ruined already.
Sir, any requests, and then you have to give a request. Now the problem with the request is that he'll know the song because you'll make a very like a generic sort of request. But then there's the pressure of how you've performed for the rest of the restaurant with your pick.
Yeah.
Because then everyone's judging your selection. It's almost like you've gone to a jukebox, but a live jukebox, or you've gone, like, like sometimes in a party, if you pick a track, and you're like, hey, what is this music?
Jingle bells.
What are you? So I'm saying that here, if you pick a bad song or a song that's, like say you pick Summer of 69. I'm saying like the worst example.
Shit,
And like,
or even worse, Chukar mere man ko.
So I'm like, so then everyone in the restaurant starts judging you, not the guy who's singing.
No.
The guy is singing, he's singing.
Yeah.
But now they're like, you picked that song, you bastard? Is that the song you picked? You had all the songs in the world to pick.
Yeah.
He asked you for a request. You picked this.
And it's in a restaurant like that, you have to pick something old but Western but well known.
Well known,
So it's like you pick a Hava Nagila.
Right.
People are like, he's a clever guy, he knows his songs. La Bamba. whatever. You pick something shit, they judge your class.
They judge your class. Oh, he's that kind of,
He's
that's
that.
that kind of table.
Yeah.
So then
He
the
picked
judgment-
OA.
Something that
Oh,
then
they shouldn't be here.
Yeah, so because then you've let out to the rest of the restaurant who you are
Your
by your
person.
choice of selection.
That's why I think these DJs have suffered all this. That's why they're like, fuck it.